Welcome.
How you doing?
Oh, we're
Doing
so
good.
jazzed right now. Are you kidding?
We're kind
I'm
of
just
having,
sorry. I'm trying to get my camera to focus on my face. All right, it's not
yeah,
working.
I
you
love
look
your
great.
bookshelves behind you,
Yeah,
right?
very
Thank
cool.
you. Yeah,
That
it's a
is
good backdrop.
one of my guilty pleasures of these interviews is seeing everyone's kind of backdrop. I was like,
Right. You're going to be
what's
talking, and we're
that?
like, what is that book back there? What one is? I promise we're listening to you as well, but I always love to see the
A
books.
likely story.
I will
Well,
say, Kai and I were geeking out earlier. So we were like, I can't believe we get to talk to Veronica Roth. This is so crazy.
Well, that's nice. Hi, guys.
Little
yeah,
fangirl. We promise
we're
to have like eloquent questions eventually.
I'm sure. I'm not worried.
Yes, well, welcome to the Guild Fabled Fantasy Book Club. We are so delighted to be chatting with you tonight. I'm going to have Lee Ellen kick us off with our few little housekeeping things. We'll jump into introducing you, and then we will dig in.
Great.
So, super excited. Also, introductions. I'm Kai. I'm the events manager here at Fabled, and also just a big fantasy sci-fi dystopian geek, and have been a big fan of yours for a very long time. So, this is really cool.
Oh, I'm Lee Ellen. I'm the fantasy science fiction YA book buyer at Fabled. So, um, obviously, you have been a hit for a number of years, but this is always just a pleasure to not only get to talk to you, but then pull in so many of our readers because I believe what makes this such a special chat and hopefully fun for you is that this is a spoiler-filled chat. Spoilers
Oh
will
yeah.
abound in this. Everyone that's on should have read the book by now. If you have not, you probably should step out of the room and come back. We do record this and we'll send it, but I do think it makes it really fun for authors because we will ask you some very detailed, pointed questions about your book and about the choices. So, um, everyone else, you can come back. You'll receive an email with a link of this recording and stick around at the end to hear the announcement of our August book. And there is a little chat box at the bottom. So, as you have questions, you're welcome to chat with us. And that's it. What else, Kai?
Yeah, well, let us officially introduce Veronica Roth, who is the #1 New York Times bestselling author of the Divergent series, the Carve the Mark duology, the End and Other Beginnings collection of short fiction, Chosen Ones, Arch Conspirator, When Among Crows, To Clutch a Razor, and many short stories and essays. She lives in Chicago, and tonight we have the honor of talking about the first in her new Burning Empire duology, Seek the Traitor's Son, which, oh my gosh, picked this up per Lee Ellen's request, well, and seeing your name on the front of it, probably in February, and have not shut up about it since. And so super excited to jump in. And our first kind of just question for you is, what was the original spark for this project?
Oh, it's hard to answer because I started writing it in September of 2019, so it's been a while. But I think it was just this feeling about these two characters. They weren't that fully formed, but I knew that there was a kind of like tension between Elegy and Theron, who weren't named that at the time. But and I didn't think it was like an enemies thing. It was more like a shared history of like a wound or something. So I just had this feeling about them that it would be interesting. And I also love a knight, like a bodyguard princess situation. So I think that was part of it too.
Oh, so fun. I mean, as you're reading this book, it just feels like you just had your joy emitting off the pages. Like I could tell that you were like just having fun with it. You didn't overthink
Oh
it,
yeah.
maybe. You just
Well,
had some.
I didn't intend to publish it. So I
Oh,
think
wait,
it
seriously?
was, yeah.
I mean, I read somewhere that it took you like 10 drafts or something in like 6 years. So just that in
Yes.
itself, like how different was this writing? Like, was this just your little private joy? Like you just snuck at night and would like write some chapters while you were on a deadline for something else?
Yeah, kind of. So the books I wrote while writing this book were Chosen Ones, Poster Girl, One Among Crows, and Arch Conspirator. So I was just constantly working on other things, and when I turned them in, and I would have to wait for edits, I would work on this. And it's like 10 drafts, but they were fun. They were like experiments. So they weren't like this
You didn't
toil.
have like an editor going, no, you need to cut this down or you need to do this. You were just tinkering
No,
your.
no one saw it. No one knew I was working on it. So it was just mine.
When did someone finally see it?
I think in 2023, no, 2022, I sent it to my agent, maybe 2023, maybe early. Anyway, I sent it to her, and that was the first person who saw it.
How fun.
Well, thank you for sending it along because us consumers have loved it thoroughly. I'm very curious too, because we get wonderful early copies. Thank you, bookstore gods, wherever you are, for like allowing us early access to books like these. And it's always very exciting to see when authors such as yourselves who have a massive legacy in writing. I mean, you came out the gate swinging with Divergent, in the early 2010s, and that was shortly after you were graduating college. You've published through YA, adult short stories, so many different formats of writing. And so I was so fun to see you lean fully into this adult sci-fi space. Was there any specific thing that inspired, like, all right, I've done all these other versions, now let's lock in a full duology in this genre?
I don't know. It didn't feel that different because Chosen Ones was adult fantasy, and Poster Girls adult sci-fi, and so I think I'd just been around for a while. What felt different about this was just like, I think, embracing a kind of genre straddling book that I knew would be difficult to explain to people. So we call it dystopian, but like, and yes, it is, but is it like, I don't know,
it's
yeah.
fantasy,
It's a little too real right now.
Post-apocalyptic. There's no nailing this one down for sure.
Yeah, which is great. And what I love about books, but it does present a kind of marketing challenge because, I mean, the book is getting shelved as romantasy a lot of the time. And I'm like, okay, that's totally fine. I have no problem. I love romantasy, but I'm also like, okay, but be aware that it's not like falling in line with all of those conventions. So,
yeah. Well, especially the way that it just slowly kind of unfurls. I think one of the things that I loved about this is obviously you have older protagonists, which is nice as an older woman. But also, they've been through a bunch of stuff. So they're a lot of novels in this genre have, super young people that are like either on some magical quest or like have, everything is like joy and wonder. And these two have a lot of pain. So like, what did you do channeling that?
Well, I think the biggest separation for me between a YA work and an adult work, the way, like when I am writing it, is just the feeling of time, which sounds obvious. But I think in my earlier adult work, like with Chosen Ones and even Poster Girl, you don't feel the time as much because I hadn't figured that out yet. Like it doesn't have weight. Like technically they're 28 or something, but you need to feel it in the narrative. And one of the ways to do that is to have significant things happen to them in their 20s. So like stop referring to their teens. Like I don't think Theron ever thinks about being a teenager at all. And Seek the Traitor's son, like everything important to the story happened after that point. So I think that's one way to kind of create this feeling. But I also wanted them to carry a bunch of baggage into their love story. I thought that felt interesting to me, like and kind of underexplored avenue, at least from what I've been exposed to. I am just curious about. I don't know. You don't need to enter a relationship brand new. Like you can bring your past with you.
Yeah, one thing that I personally appreciated, but I know Lee Ellen's mentioned it too, was the dynamic of Elegy being married beforehand, and you experience that love, and you know that it's real with her and Cheer in the start of the book, and again, spoilers abound. Anybody, this is your last warning.
Last chance, because we're about to talk about it.
Like literal massacre.
I avoided. I was like, don't put that she's married in the copy, because what I didn't want is people to be like, it's going to be infidelity or a love triangle or something. And I was like, no, it won't. don't worry.
That's what I appreciate so much, is that it was not infidelity, because that is a tool that is used more often than not, rather than just straight up killing them off in the first couple chapters and then jumping forward in time. But that really allows you to enter like the space of the emotions of your characters immediately. You're like, oh, whoa. This is not just like a funny, haha, yes, they'll like end up together because, prophecy, whatever. It's like, ooh, hard decisions are about to be made. What turmoil am I about to go through as a reader? And yeah, I'm excited for it. So, in that realm of putting such a huge kind of plot twist moment front and center of the book, did you know that you wanted that to happen so soon, or had you hoped to like build up more to that moment?
Well, I didn't always plan on killing him. I there are like little bits of drafts that he's in, and like him finding out about the prophecy kind of destroys their marriage, and they're trying to navigate. And I was like, okay, but that's like a whole separate book, actually. And I didn't like it. Like I didn't like how it almost felt like I had to do character assassination on him, make him a bad guy to explain their separation. Even though, like, if you find out that your spouse was fated to fall in love with someone else, like, it doesn't mean you're a bad person to be worried about that. But I just, I wanted to keep, like, I wanted her love for him to remain completely intact and for the struggle of the book to be about, like, a feeling of betrayal, allowing that grief to leave. So I think that felt like the more interesting story to me.
I also just thought it was just so authentic because, you know, in this day and age, too, by the time you are enter in a relationship, the likelihood that you are, a single virginal baby child that has no past history with other humans is pretty slim to none, right? I mean, I know there's people out there, good, more power to you. But I think what I loved was that there was this respect factor in their relationship. It was almost like there was a third person in their relationship. Like they honored him, like he was still in there, even though he died in the beginning. Like as they are getting to know each other, he's still kind of a central part because he informs kind of her personality. So,
Yeah. One of my favorite parts to write was, I mean, we're spoiling, right?
yeah,
So
we've all read it. And if they haven't,
Great.
I mean, we warned them to get
Yeah.
out.
I know. Okay. So at the end, when she says something about like how she says that Theron is devastating while she's like high on the fever or whatever. And he says, well, he's not so bad either, because Theron has many attractions. And so he's like, yeah, your ex-husband was, or your late husband is hot, which I just thought was so non-toxic.
It was very healthy.
Yeah.
Just another commonality. We'll allow it.
Great.
I wanted to jump back a little bit and talk about the setting because this is kind of like a distant post-apocalyptic Earth vibe, but with aliens, and there's an off-planet space colony, and there's a split between primary societies. You've got like Talusar and Cedra, if I'm saying those right. I listened to the audiobook, so I hope so. What kind of formatted the setting for you and that kind of like society that you set up?
Well, it took some time to figure them out, all of it, because the fever was not like there from the beginning of my world building. So it came actually like draft 7. Like it was like in there. So you'd think, how does the story function without this? But I don't know. Right. I had developed kind of Cedra and their the way they felt, like the kind of tech forward world, of the story. And then I wanted the contrast between the people who can use technology and people who can't. And then it was like, where are these? I always had like special powers kind of, but I was like, well, where are they coming from? So that the fever was like the answer to that question. And it changed everything else around it. So it's a little nuts to think about now. Like, how did you even, like, what were those drafts? But the fever came about when I decided to set it on Earth. So that was like a turning point for the writing process. I ended up loving putting it on Earth, I think, because it creates a kind of puzzle. So every city, every place has a different name in this draft. So you can read it as if it's like a second world fantasy. But if you want to to go on a scavenger hunt, you can figure out where you are, Some are easy, like Astra is Australia, right? But others are a little trickier. Like Narm is the indigenous name for Melbourne. So I just think playing with that, like familiar and unfamiliar, was a really fun part of writing this book.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I couldn't help but think of COVID because
Yeah.
you got, I mean, you started this in 2019 and now you have like this illness, this fever that makes people sick and it divides people because now you've got like this one culture that like believes in it and this other culture that doesn't. And I really, I kept thinking of the whole like vaccinated, non-vaccinated, like wear your mask, don't wear your mask, like how you can like culture literally divides sometimes from a phenomenon. And I felt like that's basically, you have this core in this novel of these two cultures that rise up from this one moment and change their behavior based on that moment.
Well, it was definitely inspired by COVID. So it wasn't, you're not pulling that out of nowhere. I think more like this fun idea that I had is like, what if this horrible thing that we've all just experienced was like magical, which is just like a coping mechanism, right? Because
Mm.
like it was a dark time and it was depressing for everyone. And I think it's a strange thing about science fiction and fantasy writers that we sometimes try to transform the thing that was really hard into something that feels fun and adventurous instead, as like a way of thinking about it and sort of teasing it apart in our minds, in my mind. And so I don't know. I think it was also like it's helpful with dystopian fiction to be able to observe something about human nature. And COVID revealed us, right? It revealed how happy we are to split apart and how some people can't cope with devastation and they decide to just let it happen instead. I think that's very human of us. Not all of us, obviously, but it was an opportunity, I think, to explore things that I noticed during that time.
Mm. So creative. Just also just the concept of like by getting this fever, you can be reborn anew and like
Yeah.
different, possibly better, right? I mean, I wish after COVID I came out with some really cool superpowers.
Wouldn't that be nice? Yeah. Although some of these powers suck a lot. So I don't
Uh,
know. I'm not sure.
honestly, I don't think I'd want to know people's emotions. Like, really, that is like every time I
No.
read those chapters and he's like feeling that, I just, I think that would be the worst one.
Yeah, but it's a real I don't know, maybe it's like a youngest child thing because you are like trying to
Exactly.
keep the peace with all
Yeah.
of your siblings. So you're always trying to, is
Uh,
Oh
everyone
yeah,
okay?
I
Yeah.
I can relate. That's the one. It's funny you say that, yelling, because I was like, that's the one I understood the most,
oh,
probably.
really?
Yes.
Yeah. But I don't want it either. So I
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah, but
Mhm.
sometimes it's ingrained, but that's so funny.
Mm.
I'm also curious because there are like so many different drafts of the story, and it was kind of more of a, it sounds like a passion project for you on the side. Are there things about the culture of Talusar and Sidra and like how you wanted to express, COVID playing a part and like real life things in this mystical way that didn't make it, like some lore or backstory that didn't make the final draft that you kind of wished had?
Um, that's a good question. Usually, I all my drafts are kind of additive. They're not like I don't take things out so much as I just add more complexity to them as I go. So I kind of feel like no. It was like a little more cyberpunk in other drafts, like with body modification and technology and just like the visuals and stuff. And when I decided that the book felt more like fantasy and that it should feel more like fantasy, I kind of pulled that stuff out of it because it just wasn't doing any, it was just confusing. Um, so I guess I do miss some of that. Yeah.
Hey, we'll take Cyberpunk.
Yeah. One day. Yeah.
All right, so I want to know about some of this research because, like, at one point in the story, um, Elegy, she's like having a conversation with one of the augurs, and they start talking about genetic markers. So, like, like, can you determine, like, what ability you're going to get with the fever? And I just felt like that was so, like, current events, moral dilemmas of, people that are like, oh, am I gonna have a girl or a boy? Or like, do I want the blonde child or do I want the, you know, whatever things that people can start doing or cloning? I don't know. So I
Yes.
would love to know what like research you did. Like, did you look into CRISPR technology or gene splicing and all that stuff? And I just love
Um,
that kind of stuff. But I read a lot of sci-fi, so I
I didn't look into CRISPR. I mean, I know about CRISPR already, so maybe it just leaked in because CRISPR is so exciting. We could cure cancer with CRISPR, but also it's terrifying
Also could
because
be terrifying.
you could grow a third eye out of your forehead with CRISPR. So it's just like, who knows? It's just
I've
a
gone
tool,
down
right?
those CRISPR rabbit holes.
I know, I know. I think what I like about that conversation, I think it's Theron and the augur attendant,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
is that she gets punished for doing that research because they're like, this is too close to blasphemy. Which I feel like is a thing that could happen and is happening, right? Just this
Right.
tension between like if we know how everything is made, then does that mean we can't believe in a higher power? You know, just like how I don't know.
Right.
That feels like a relevant
Comes first,
conversation.
the chicken or the egg. You're right. No, I mean
Yes.
that exactly. I mean, if we were created, can we still design?
These are the
Right.
questions.
These are the questions.
I did study I did the secular study of religion in college. So I think I'm always just gonna be interested in developing fictional religions. Just like with Divergent, I feel like the 5 factions are just 5 religions. I don't know. But anyway. But as far as research goes, I think most of the like research that I did, like the research that took the most time was about languages naming and endonyms, which are the names that people give themselves instead of a name that like is imposed by the greater like global order. So Narm was the example I gave earlier. That's a good one. But also every single character name, like I determined their kind of country of their heritage country, and then made sure that my naming conventions were as correct as I could make them. And that took so much time because I wanted Cedra to be multicultural. And yeah, it's a lot more than you think.
Oh my goodness, that kind of blows my mind. It's not just like, oh, I just thought Talusar was a cool name. Like you're coming.
Well, Talusar is a made up language, but yes, the Cedra stuff is a lot of research.
Wow.
That is so interesting. Well, that's another thing I want to talk about. I was like, this is a huge cast of characters. Yeah. It's like you have Elegy and Theron, but there are so many dynamics at work. And so in your writing process, especially because this one spans so much time, how did you kind of like track and how do you as a writer track and keep up with things? Are you like a sticky notes on the wall person? Or are you like, I've got a binder. I see your, what is it? Hot, sad hotties binder in the back. Does that hold all the secrets? Like
that's a t-shirt.
Oh, that's a t-shirt. Love it.
Yes, I got that from my UK publisher. It's over there. And it's very funny. So
fantastic placement right there.
Yes. I was like, strategic. Okay, keeping track. Yeah, I don't find characters hard to keep track of. I think it's natural, like an instinct for them. But I use Scrivener, which is like a big database word processor that a lot of authors use, I think. And you can put like research notes in like a section of it, so you can refer to them consistently as you write. I don't write anything down because my handwriting is garbage. So I'm not like doing that wall of red string or whatever in my house.
That's what I imagine, like the mad person, like, oh, now we're gonna kill him early.
No, it's all in Scrivener, and you can search it like a database, so that helps. Yeah.
Okay, that's amazing.
I did try and mash characters together though, because I was like, there's too many of these people. So this is after paring them down, which is like, I don't know.
Okay, so is this really going to be a duology though? Because with all these people, I have like all these questions now, and we get to the end, and I feel like I can see where, like, I want it to go. I'm curious where you're going to hit it, but like, there's still so much I want to know, and now that there's aliens on another planet, and like, this could be more than 2, maybe.
Well, the arc of this story is resolved in 2. The second installment is done, and it's like it was 800 word pages, but I think its actual formatted page count is like 608. So it's very long. But yeah, I mean, the universe of the story is very large, and I would love to keep writing in it, but I am like, this will be resolved.
This will be resolved.
Yes.
And then we'll get something else.
Well, I hope so, but we'll see.
Who is your favorite character to write? Because there are a lot of characters, and they're so cool and unique. And I will say that like we already we chose this for this guild book club, but within our bookstore, we also have another book club that meets and read this. And
Oh,
everybody picked a different character. Like it was so fascinating to
ooh,
be like, who was your favorite character? And they were like, oh, well, I really liked Larkin. I really liked Rava. I really liked Sheer. Like it was
Who
kind
liked
of
Lark? Sorry.
interesting.
love Lark.
My Orange Theory trainer, she was like, I totally relate to her. I love her.
She's so mean. I love her. Yeah.
But see, Orange Theory trainer, it makes sense, right?
Yes. I love that. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be so lame and tell you my favorite character to write is Theron. Yeah, I think you could tell that he's my
Yeah.
fave. But setting him aside, I really like Arias. I think he's so like kind and he's like so level-headed and he's been through this hard thing, but he's like gone to therapy about it. And I like him. He's my one of my
Self-aware,
faves.
self-aware character.
Yes.
Gosh,
But
I loved it. Well, it's funny. I actually, because I remember when prepping my notes, I wrote a very specific note about Lark that I was just
Oh, did
remembering.
you?
I was like, she's
Oh, wait,
frustrated.
you had it written with like her mom, right? Or something?
Yeah, I was like talking about like the sword of Saedra and like how it was first Elegy's mom and then it passed down to Lark and there's that whole, legacy thing which I want to jump into theme-wise in a second. But I also was like Elegy or not Elegy, Lark irritated me or was frustrating not because she was bad, but because she was wrong.
yeah.
Like I was like she was just wrong and I think sometimes a wrong, morally ambiguous character is more frustrating than a just bad person who the reasons and they're wise. She's just like stubborn. And so I'm wondering, because I feel like because it's such a large cast of characters, you have very like clear people and characters that you're like exactly where they are on the protagonist to antagonist scale, but you do have that morally ambiguous middle ground gray space as well. Do you like writing morally ambiguous characters and you think that's important for readers? Because I find it always very fun to find it a way to tap into empathy as a reader of like, oh, I don't understand this, but can I?
Yeah. So early in my career, I got a bad review. It was from Perkis. God
Good.
bless.
Thank
No,
you for
no,
making her a better
it
writer.
was so good. But basically it pointed out that in Divergent, all the bad guys don't like Triss, but all the good guys like her. And it haunted me like for every book after that. Because I was just like, you need to make sure, because I thought it was a great point. You need to make sure that like you're not making that kind of character where just like it's so simple and straightforward. Like there are a lot of people in the world and we all disagree with each other about how things should be handled. So if you're creating a realistic cast of characters, you need people who are good, but who don't see things the same way as your protagonist. And you need other ways to distinguish them from each other. So Lark is like lawful good and Elegy is chaotic good. So they're both good, but one feels like totally comfortable operating outside of the law. And the other one is like, no, we have laws for a reason. So I think that's why I like Lark. She's supposed to be frustrating. So I'm actually glad that you found her frustrating because she's just incorrect. You're right. But I think I tried to step into her shoes and be like, if I had this freaking annoying prodigal sister, who just reappeared and knew everything, I would be very annoyed by her. So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, I obviously want to talk about Theron because I love him. But I think he's such a dichotomy because he's described as gentle, but he also, murdered people, right? So how can you
Left
be a
and
gentle
right.
murderer? Like, let me stick this knife right in your throat. But
Well, Theron does what he has to do.
right.
So,
Yeah.
yes.
So yeah, just like what was writing a character like that? Was he modeled after someone? Like, why did you make him as unique as you did?
I think it's a type that I find appealing. So I like a quiet man who can kill a guy, like John Wick. John Wick obviously has like an unhinged murderer side, but I think there's something like about this sort of like this warrior poet vibe that I really like. I don't like, I will read any kind of dude, like I don't care, but I don't gravitate toward a kind of cocky, like type of dude. I love a like a thoughtful man. So I think I just was like interested in writing about a character that I found appealing in that way. And then taking it seriously, because like obviously there's a very idealized version of this character that exists in fiction, and Theron has elements of that, but I think I tried to take him seriously as like a person with a history and with trauma. So, yeah,
I think that
that's where.
trauma is what made it like feel more authentic instead of just this sort of tropey like I read poetry and or whatever, that kind of like gentle
Yes.
like I know how to like chop wood, but I also read poetry. Like I didn't get that vibe from him. Like he has experienced some really intense, awful things that have made him more tender towards
Yeah.
people.
So I think the philosophy of Theron is that he
Yeah.
starts with these sort of gentle tendencies, and then you have to ask yourself, what happened to that guy that made him capable of all of this? And I think that's like where the interesting character question came for me. And there's that 4 year time gap, and it's like, what happened?
Right.
And I was excited to answer that question.
So how did that come about? I'm like jumping in to be like, when you're writing these kind of novels where you're bouncing back between timelines, are you writing that linearly? Are you writing it as we are experiencing it?
I started the book for a long time after the time jump. And I did kind of like more flashback to who he was before. But I just thought it lacked the right impact. Like you need to see him before he's sort of sweet and a coward,
Running
and I,
away.
yeah,
There
like
you
I
go.
thought actually having to see the before and after made like the like your questions about the interim period more urgent. So I went back and wrote the beginning. But yeah.
So brilliant.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, I loved him. And also, it's just that kind of mental fortitude in a man you don't see every day. So I love to see it on the page. So thank you for being a woman who writes men that we want to read. I also his a big part of the story and the plot is that Theron is the traitor's son. Like he is a part of this prophecy as well. He's literally the son of an alien, so we find out. Go Sevik, like you're so mysterious. Can't wait to learn more about you in book two. Um, but that even the title alone, Theron as a character and as you're reading him immediately raises the question about inheritance and identity. And I felt like that was a theme that was so prevalent throughout the story. And so I was wondering, like, were you meaning to explore that in a way where like someone else's, like Theron's identity even more throughout the book based off of other people's choices, like his mother's, Kezia's, and her betrayal, her lying about Sevik and their relationship, all of that. What do you think?
Yeah, I think because the Talusar have the ability to see into the past, especially the ancestral past, it brings up like the question of intergenerational trauma, like just what things could live in your mind and your genes that you don't even know. I just think that's an interesting question, and it's just kind of baked into the world building. It's unavoidable. So I liked the idea of exploring. I don't know. Sorry, I'm what I'm trying not to do is spoil the second book right now. So that's why I'm like,
That would be dope.
yeah, no. I think, yeah, I'm interested in like the ripple effects that certain decisions have across generations. So
Yeah.
that's all I'll
So,
say.
sorry, safe question, maybe to alleviate some of the chaos of not spoiling. Will we see some of the ripple effects explained a little bit more in the second one?
I think so. Yeah.
Ooh. Right, because you said it wraps up. So
It does wrap up. Yep.
so cool. One of the things I also loved about this, I obviously am a book buyer within the space of fantasy and science fiction and YA, but also read a lot of historical fiction and literary fiction, and a lot of that stuff is very character driven. And I loved that this felt very character heavy because a lot of times fantasy is like, oh, and there's this war and there's this
Yeah.
action scene and there, um, so are you going to stay in that vein for this next one, or will there be more like action adventure? Because
Yeah. I
set
mean,
in
I think,
an alien planet or whatever. Like,
yeah, I think it's the same amount of world building and action adventure as the first Seek. It's because I conceived of it as like one unit, and then we realized it'd be so long that we couldn't print it. So
like
I had
War of
to
the
split it
Worlds,
in half.
it's like 12.
Yeah. Like it would be ridiculous. So I had to split it in half. And so I think I'm trying to think of the balance, but I don't think it's like noticeably different. And I'm so glad to hear you say that because like I love plot heavy and world heavy work. So I love to read it as a reader. But as a writer, I think I've decided to accept the kind of writer that I am. And the kind of writer that I am is obsessed with character. And I love the like accoutrement of science fiction and fantasy, like as a backdrop, but I don't, and it's more than a backdrop. It influences the story, obviously, in profound ways. But I think keeping, like, you have to define your narrative priorities. And if breadth is your priority, then you can write a sprawling story. Like, I just read The Republic of Memory by Muhammad Al-Sayed and really loved it. But it's so, like, the scope is huge and you don't spend a lot of time with each character because, like, I think the intention of the book is to develop. It's on like a generation spaceship and it's rising tension. So it's about to erupt into revolution. So you get like this broad impression of the situation on this ship. And that's in some ways like the opposite of Seek the Traitor Son as like a type of story. And I was like, no, we're going to stay as narrow as possible with these people because that's kind of, I think it's my strength and it's where my interest is. So,
oh, and I think it makes this book brilliant because you do really get to know these characters and care about their motivations. And so that is, as you're reading, you are questioning because you think you know one thing and you're like, well, why did this happen? And where does this come from? And so it adds so much depth and dimension to the story. I loved it.
thanks.
I want to talk about betrayal being kind of like a force throughout the story, and what interested you about exploring the ways that betrayal can be both a personal wound and a larger political or societal force.
Ooh, intense question. I don't know that I really thought about it to this degree. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to approach this.
That's okay. I more of like my brain space while I was thinking about it is I get, because I love diving into just like the societal like the small choices that people in real life make and characters make in books that they make it from their own personal decisions, mindset, moments, but it impacts something far greater than themselves. And it happens way more often. And I'm very much someone who believes it's like, hey, small choices are more important than the large, big choices sometimes. And so I was just curious if there was any intentionality in like, oh, like these betrayals and these personal wounds were like a driving force in like what is happening in this society.
Yeah, I think the older I get and the more I pay attention to things in the world, the more I'm like, everything is actually small. Like I think our political situation right now, not to dig into it too much, but it's made us all aware of how petty things are, actually, and how so much can depend on one person's ego or their missteps or their desire to like experience personal gain. And it's hard to look at the world and see that actually it's very small, like that people are very small. And yet the ripple effects are there, right? So I think that's definitely like influencing the way I see people and the way I see political machinery, I guess. And I try to make like Kesia is the biggest traitor in the book, right? But she just wants to go home, really. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't what she thought it was, leaving her country, and she wants to go back. And there's like no more relatable desire than the desire to go home. But I think what is interesting to me is always how far will a person go to get the thing that they want. And inevitably, my villains go as far as possible. and my heroes will not. So, yeah.
How did we make it this far without talking about
No,
Rava Vidar? I was like, you said villains, and I was like, hold on. The
Rava.
terrifying general who's just like the other half of this prophecy. Can you just talk about her and just every decision you made in making her as scary and wonderful as she is?
Well, so the character started from a place of deep relatability to me, which is that I am tall and so is Rava. And honestly, like you need a starting point for each character, and that was it. I just wanted her to be like bigger than the average woman, and to have that like influence her in a deeper way. So Rava's main frustration is that she like her body has limits and she doesn't want it to, and so it like basically has a ripple effect through the rest of the story. It's this very small thing. So that's kind of where she comes from. Is just like I lift weights and I do it with my husband, and I cannot lift as much as this man. He is only an inch and a half taller than I am. And it's like the most annoying thing on earth. He's not competitive with me.
You're like, come on.
Yeah, but I can imagine like if I had so much pride about this that it could become an issue. So I think Rava just wants to fight. It's the only thing she likes and the only thing she knows. And she is otherwise very awkward and like doesn't read people that well. So that's why she gravitates toward Theron, because he can do what she can't do. But yeah, I don't know. That's kind of where she started at least. But
okay, it is somehow already 7:42, so I'm very conscious of our time limit.
Oh geez, yeah.
I know. And so I have to talk about the ending because so much happens in the end, and I'm like I literally went back and reread parts of it because I was like, wait, did I read that right? Like, okay, wait. So if Ben is dead and now Elegy chooses the fever, which I also think is cool because she chose it, which I love that. Didn't see that coming. So it changes the whole trilogy of this prophecy, right?
Yes.
So, first of all, mind blown. But secondly, like when you started this on page 1, did you know that that was going to be like the final page, or
yeah,
was it part of like?
Yeah, I think there was a natural splitting place between the two books, and I was like, it's got to end like that the first Breaking Dawn movie where her eyes open.
Success.
Yeah, just.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I think that was my plan from the start, but it's basically like it's terrible to be trapped on a spaceship with your worst enemy. So good luck to everyone.
Yeah, it was just like a double reveal or double like, mind blown. I had to go back and read the whole thing, and now I'm like, and now the Sundial's launched. Like, what? I just want the next book tomorrow.
Yeah. Well,
not
alas.
Alas. Not tomorrow, but sometime in the spring, I think.
Yeah, I think it's May.
Yeah, what can you tell us about what can we look forward to in book 2? Like, we know we'll get a resolution. That's exciting as a reader, especially in such an intense plot and all the things going on and how you left it off. I'm excited. But what can you tell us about book 2?
Well, it's been hard for me to hint around at this book because I'm like, I don't know how to talk about this. But I think you like kind of have this feeling that like once a prophecy is fulfilled that it's over. But I'm here to tell you that it isn't, and they keep being fulfilled over and over again. Is like my philosophy of prophecy in this book. So you'll see.
It just you've got the 3 parts, and the 3 parts just keep being remade.
Well, I don't know.
Oh,
I don't know.
I
don't know how to hint around,
right, you
but
can't
I just
really answer that without us reading it. But
I think the exploration of like what it means in this universe to see the future and whether like is it as straightforward as it sounds, and the answer is no.
no, well, no prophecies are. I mean, that's what I loved about this whole time. We're thinking like, oh, the prophecy means this, and these are the 3 people that fulfilled this prophecy, and this is how it goes. And then obviously, that's if you've ever made a wish with a genie, that's not how it works. Like,
yeah.
So then,
and have you made a wish with a genie? You sound experienced.
Yes, we've got him back in the bottle currently.
Okay, and last quick question. I was like, on top of, these incredible books that are coming out. You've also returned to the world of Divergent in the Sixth Faction.
Where
Oh
is it? There it is.
We
gosh,
cannot wait. It's
yeah,
right here.
like
I'm like
so
so
exciting.
excited.
4 books in 18 months. How are you pulling this off? Tell us.
By keeping secrets for like a long time. So, I was working on Seek for 6 years. And then like that makes it sound like it was like constant work on Seek, but I would send it over to my editor and there would be like a period of several months where I would wait to get it back and all that stuff. So I just kept writing other things. So I just did like a constant swapping back and forth between Seek, and I also wrote Seek and its sequel at the same time. So it was all continuous. So anyway, what I'm saying is that it's been in the works for like 4 years. So it's really like a book a year, which is like a very fast pace, still a fast pace for an author, but it's not unheard of. So I've just been pretending to not be working on novels for a really long time.
Well, we can't thank you enough for taking time to meet with us and to write all these novels and build these characters that are just so phenomenal in these worlds that are beyond memorable. I mean, genuinely, like I said, at the beginning, like 13-year-old me is geeking out over the fact that I get to talk to you about book that you're writing decades after, a decade after your first ones. And I'm just, thank you for continuing to do it and keeping secrets from us and all those things.
Well, thank you for reading it and picking it.
Oh, of course. We picked this early. I mean, that's what's so crazy is I read this like forever ago. So much so that like, look at this cover. It's not even like the real cover. And then I went back and listened to the audio, which was phenomenal. Like to prep for this, I was like, okay, it's been like 8 months since I read this book. Let me listen to audio. But it was multicast. Like, did you choose all those people? They were phenomenal.
I did not choose them alone, but yes, they were the people I argued for. We all agreed, it's like not a difficult process. But also Max Myers, who's the voice of Theron in Seek the Traitor Zone, is also in the Sixth Faction, so you'll get to hear them again. Yeah, I thought they did such a good job. The audiobook is great. Sometimes you like, I've had a lot of really good audiobooks, but sometimes you get one where you're like, this person understands this character or is at least interpreting them in the same way that I did. And that's like, it's very nice. Yeah.
Yes. It felt like, live action drama, what I imagine back in the day when people sat around listening to
like a radio play. Yeah.
Yeah. Like radio shows. That's totally what I thought of. I was listening to this going, oh, this is so good.
Well, thanks. I would love to take credit for it, but I just,
Well, so fun. Well, we are so excited to keep reading with you and have another year's worth of books, I feel like, with you.
Oh, you're all going to be tired of me. You'll be like, Veronica, stop for a while.
No shot.
No shot. No such thing.
Well, thank you.
Veronica, thank you so much for this time. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This was great.
Hopefully it was fun to be able to like dive in and actually talk about it.
What a relief to not have to avoid spoilers. Let me tell you, it was really great. So thank you for this opportunity.
Thanks for joining us.
Good night.
Bye. All right, friends. That was awesome.
Oh my gosh.
We just talked to Veronica Roth about
I know. And she's so amazing. And I love her.
Yeah, that was really fun. That was really fun. And she was lovely. So next we have another book.
And I'm so excited about this one. Leellen. Yep. We are reading A Tangled Magic by Andrea Eames, who is a Texas author, which
fun. I know, and it's just darling. It's a Rapunzel retelling, and it's
but it's kind of dark,
magical, and fabulous, and I loved it. So
yes, so we will be meeting with her a month from now on Wednesday, September 2nd, 7 p.m. Central Time. You can buy the book from us. We love that. You can also register for the conversation. Again, we will upload this recording to our YouTube channel tomorrow. We'll send you links to all the things so you can stay looped in with the guild and
keep reading with us and enjoying these author chats. We love having you.
We love having you. We love doing it. I mean, again, what better way to spend a Wednesday night? I mean,
so much better than anything else.
I love it so much. But thank you all who tuned in tonight, and we'll see you next month.
All right, take care. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.